Chris Blunt. He's the business owner and the MD who set up Broken Stones about 15 years ago. We are an IT managed services provider based in Lichfield. Welcome, Chris, to the chat.
Thank you, Jonathan. Nice to be here.
Yeah, good. It's exciting. Our first live stream. You nervous or we're ready to go?
I'm just intrigued. I'm then just intrigued to see what goes wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to the crowds flocking in. We're going to be discussing a pretty meaty topic today. What we want to discuss on this live stream really is how has the last 12 months changed the way we use and think about IT. Now, obviously, as an IT managed services provider, we work with a variety of different businesses, a variety of different verticals, and we've been incredibly busy over the last 12 months. What we wanted to make sure today was not some sort of debate about COVID and the state of the world and anything like that, but more of a chat about technology, really. Talk about some success stories that have happened over the last 12 months, talk about some nightmares as well that people have had, and try and give a bit of free information, a bit of advice, and give our relatively unbiased view on technology and how things have changed over the last 12 months. So the first question, Chris, how do you feel that technology, the last 12 months has changed the way we think and use technology?
So I guess the first thing that we've seen is then just the pace of change really over the last 12 months. I guess the world has had to adapt and kind of step up to things, and then a lot of the tools which we were using 12 months ago have had massive amounts of them development gone into them. If you look back at what they were 12 months ago, they're then miles ahead, really. I look at some of the tools that we use daily and just sort of how they've changed and sort of how they've improved. So I guess that is then one of the big changes. The other big change is the way that we've seen small businesses are actually starting to think about their IT now, and just really looking at how they get their systems and really in a good place to help them help them work in this new world.
Definitely on the technology side, there's been huge changes in terms of obviously last March, when lockdown happened and people went home and that sort of stuff. Businesses looked at their goals and their outcomes, didn't they? We obviously looked at how we wanted to operate as a business. We wanted to look at how we performed as a business and how we serviced our clients. Just briefly, what do you see our major goals were as a business going into this new chapter?
So you're talking about 12 months ago? What were you talking about?
We looked at ourselves. We obviously looked at our clients, and we decided, right, this is where we want our clients to be. We want our clients to be safe, secure, functioning and self-sufficient. But as a business as well, we had some aims, didn't we? Because we've changed as a business. We've developed definitely throughout this time.
It's so I guess if I look at the client side, that is the easy one to answer, really, and then kind of very much the focus was then right from even before the start of lockdown, when we kind of saw that happening and when we saw things changing, we were very clear that our aim then was to make sure every single one of our clients had all the IT resource and tools that they needed to keep on functioning and to get through what at the time we thought was going to be a relatively short lockdown. And I don't think back then any of us really thought that we would still be here 12 months on, really, did we?
No, certainly when it all happened, there was this huge rush, wasn't there, to get a message out to the clients and a message out to the world. We're still operating, we're still doing this, reach out if you need help. And it became not even an hourly thing, but almost by the minute we're getting email after email after call after call. And I think one thing we were very keen to do was make sure that what we were sending out, certainly to the clients, was meaningful and helpful, wasn't it? It's not just a question of business as usual. We tried to be a bit proactive, didn't we?
Yes, yeah. And then I kind of looked to our own business, and I guess one of our kind of very early goals then was to really prove to the rest of the world, look, what we've been saying about the way we can set things up and the whole sort of remote workplace does really work, and to kind of so I guess to kind of prove the way that we're using our systems is the way that we can make things work. And what we've found over the last sort of 12 months is that then the way we're using our systems now is actually better than we were before all this. We're in a better place as a business. We're making better use of our systems, and we're more engaged with our staff now because of it. And you then look at those early goals, and it was how do we be as good, if not better, really?
No, I get you. I mean, it does make sense, and it leads on very, very well to my next couple of points. Actually, last March, everyone went home. What exactly did that mean? And then they were expected to simply carry on as normal. How did we perceive that happening against potentially what other clients, the clients themselves, were seeing? So they sent everyone home and then expected them to carry on. What did that mean to us?
Yes, so in our own business, again, that was what I was keen from the start was then how do we make sure that we didn't lose that office kind of vibe and culture? It's how do we make sure that the team stay interacting with each other, and we still feel like an office.
I mean, I obviously have worked in a sales and marketing role for most of my life, either in IT or in recruitment before I worked at Broken Stones, and I'm used to people around me. And this was the first time that I'd ever worked from home, and I'm sure it was the same for many, many people around me. And it felt weird. It felt very, very weird that suddenly the people I was next to were the kids and Mrs. Miller and that sort of thing, but as opposed to yourself or somebody in finance or somebody in our support team. And the cultural shift was immense. I'm sure many other people have found that as well.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I had worked from home a bit in the past, but I'd then chosen to have an office and to kind of build an office and to sort of work from the office because I like that separate space. And so when it was forced back on you to be back in the home and then to have the kids about and there's all these kind of distractions there as well. It was an interesting challenge, sort of then battling through that and I guess as a business leader, not just yourself, but also then how do you then make sure that then your staff have got what they need and can kind of work in an efficient way. And as an IT provider, talking to lots of our clients and lots of our clients' staff all day, every day, how do we sort of look out for them as well and sort of recognise when they're having challenges and find ways around for them?
I mean, I certainly think from a personal point of view that what we did with Teams and with the video streaming on a daily basis has certainly helped me. For those of you who may or may not have done it themselves, we have a video stream through Teams on a daily basis where everybody can dip in, dip out. We start the day with a catch up where everybody is on the call and we talk about successes and goals for the day and the aims. As well as a few funny stories and a bit of banter, and it gets the day off to a good start. But during the day, we're able to dip in, aren't we, and talk to people and see a face and hear a voice, even if it's just to break up the monotony potentially of looking at a screen all day. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so we were kind of conscious right from the start about how, yes, you're working at home, but we're still in the office, and then the office became that Teams environment, and sort of right from day one we ran that video stream all day every day, and if you're at work you're in the video stream, and I guess I've had different questions about it over the last sort of 12 months, and it was never done to keep an eye on people, just kind of watch what they're doing. It was about keeping that spirit and keeping that culture there. And actually what we found very early on was that the interactions actually became better than when you're in the office. you weren't sat staring at the back of someone's head. I mean, you're actually looking at their face. You could see when they're on the phone. You could see by their facial expressions if they'd had a particularly difficult call, or if there are any issues there, and you could ask them about that. And then I guess for us, it sort of very quickly became an essential part of our remote working, having that live video feed running all day, every day. First of all, it did get over people's kind of inhibitions about being on camera. And you do notice that now. Whenever any of our staff call anyone else, they are quite familiar with actually being on camera, and they don't have an issue with it. And then, kind of second, it just kept that bond there, didn't it? You could have a laugh, and you could keep the office sort of banter going over the video stream, which you can't do over email or kind of chat or any other way, really, can you?
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple of people who said, "Is has it been done so management can keep an eye on you, look at you, Big Brother spying on you?" And it's probably the opposite of that in many aspects. It's just knowing that you have colleagues out there. You can keep an eye on people, but for different reasons. Make sure people are happy. Make sure people don't not having problems. It has worked really well.
Yeah, it's kind of it's. I sort of realise now the way I was running the business before, where I was in my office and I never really saw the staff that much in the daytime. That to me now was not right. I know so much more about the staff now. I know how they're getting on. I feel like there is then sort of more understanding between us. They've got more access to me as well.
Yeah, you get some good decorating tips as well and things like that from looking into everyone else's houses and who's got the best Zoom suit and all that sort of thing. I mean, going a little bit more specific then, obviously, companies, everyone was talking about the hybrid workplace when this first happened, but we sort of coined a new phrase, didn't we? The modern workplace, which we really like, which is work is no longer a building, work is where you log on, which I think is a brilliant way of describing the future for workforces and businesses. But what were the challenges that companies and individuals faced when the office was suddenly closed? They had to go home and they had to set up. I mean, there are a lot of challenges people faced.
Yeah, this. I guess it was really kind of wide ranging as well. First of all, you sort of look at the equipment. Have people got the equipment that they need to work from home? It's many people have got a nice desktop setup in the office, and they've got nice kind of large sort of screens and everything. Everything's laid out nicely there. The first thing they found when they moved home was that then not everyone had a home office. Not everyone had a space where they could get up and running. And certainly in the early days, you saw a lot of people working off the kitchen table, working in the hallway, working in their bedrooms. I guess that was a real challenge to start with. Whilst you then also start to try and get them the right equipment. Maybe they're taking their monitors home from work. Maybe they're taking their desktops home. Maybe people are ordering them laptops. Well, the sort of laptops went into short supply as well, didn't they? Fairly early on, as everyone sort of panic bought them.
Yeah, and a lot of people using home equipment as well. I mean, a lot of people out there will think a laptop is a laptop. What is the difference between the one work, the desktop I've got at work as opposed to the laptop that I bought 5 years ago, from Amazon? And it's been an eye opener for many people, haven't they, when they've started using equipment which isn't business ready. And it's not just about the power of the machine, but the keyboards, the screen glares. There are so many differences between business class machines and work class machines. It's ridiculous. But also in terms of using a home machine in a business environment and on a business network, that uncovers a whole host of other issues like security and things like that. I didn't know if you want to expand on that, Chris.
Yeah, it's. I think the security piece is a rather large area I'm going to kind of go into today, and sort of maybe we do a separate session about the security side, and maybe there's a few questions that people have got which we can cover off in there. But for sure, it's. I guess in the first few days, it was all about getting people set up and able to work from home by any means necessary. people needed to find a way to keep their businesses running. And it was all about just do whatever you can to get things working. And then it became clear this was then not a short-term thing now. This was actually going to go on for much longer. And that's when the cyber criminals start to pick up on it, start to look at all of these gaping security holes people had left and everything. We then started to see, first off, there was a massive spike in the number of then phishing attacks, and we started to see more sort of security compromises that way, and then some businesses then started to think about the security side as well, and so what can we do to actually help protect ourselves more. And we're still going through that now. There is still companies that we're talking to on a regular basis, sort of every week, every other week, who are still looking at how do we sort our cybersecurity out for remote working. This has been going on for a year now. We need to do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, for many people, myself included, when I first moved into the IT world, 4 or 5 years ago, cybersecurity was still very much a dark art and very much misunderstood. And over the last year, this security and other elements of IT have made me realize that the majority of IT related conversations and issues come down to one thing, which is business continuity and productivity. You want your staff to be working efficiently and safely as long as possible. How long as business can you do without your screens and your computers and your laptops for, and your data for, and your emails? An hour, a day, a week. We've heard horror stories about legal practices in America being down for 2 weeks after attacks. The whole thing comes down to productivity, in my view, and I think you feel the same.
Yeah. Security was an afterthought because it was just about getting things working. And that really needs to be addressed still in many businesses, really. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, because it's interesting how you say that security is an afterthought, because it's one thing that we've done as well over the last few months is we're obviously a managed services provider. We support businesses of all sizes throughout the Midlands and the UK. And we probably look at security now as the building blocks, as the foundations of building a solid support platform for our clients. It's been a couple of clients recently where we've gone in and we've insisted that the first thing we do is look at the security, because you can have all the bells and whistles, you can have the best computers in the world and the nicest screens in the world, but if somebody holds them to ransom for a week, there's no point in having them. And that's been a real sea change for us.
Yeah, it's if we just move on from then the security side, and actually one of the other big challenges we found, and actually you found yourself, Jonathan, it was over your internet connection, wasn't it?
Oh God, yes. Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize, I've got to be honest with you, I didn't realize for the first couple of months just how bad my connection was. People were saying to me, did you realize, Jonathan, that we couldn't see you for half that call, or we couldn't hear you? We were having I remember we had one conversation with a client where we were trying to sell them a Teams phone solution. And it was terrible. Yeah. And I was trying to sell them something saying this solution is brilliant, and they couldn't hear me speaking. And I'm sure there are other people who've had similar problems as well. The internet connectivity is key to everything now in the modern workplace.
Yeah, and there was a real kind of load put onto the home internet infrastructure, and that was when you saw those people which had got a business grade line at home. They then sort of really started to see the benefits of that line and whether we're getting better service and everything. It's I know I spoke to one of my mates fairly early on, and he had a fairly decent home internet line in there. I think he was getting he was then supposed to get something like 300 meg or something. He was finding in the daytime, and that was then down to like 4 or 5 meg. And he was forced to pay an upgrade fee onto a higher package, so that then in the daytime he had enough internet to still do his work. And we were seeing a lot of that But it wasn't just the internet connections into the houses. It was then when people's Wi-Fi started to struggle as well, especially when you start to get the kids on it. First off, I guess, sort of watching then TV and sort of playing their games, and then sort of later on, when they then moved on to homeschooling as well. When you've got the house, when you've then got the whole house, trying to use your Wi-Fi, trying to use your internet, that's when the cracks really started to show.
Yeah, lockdown 2 was a real wake up, certainly in this household, when the kids were doing Teams calls and Zooms calls and a lot more time online. The whole thing just came crumbling down, which is when we put the business line in here. And I know a lot of companies will say, well, it's an extra cost, it's an extra X pounds. I mean, I'm not going to go all salesy now and talk about the lines we provide, but we've put in a business quality line with guaranteed speeds for a relatively small cost per month, haven't we? And when you think about the downtime that has now got rid of, and the productivity that I now have, it just seems a minuscule cost.
Well, you can see the instant change, and then the quality of any video, and then sort of B, in terms of the quality of your audio. And it was just, it's. I know that you weren't kind of on our side of things, but there were so many times when you were trying to talk to us, and you just didn't want to listen because it was a real sort of effort.
That's just any excuse, Chris. Any excuse to phase me out. That's the thing. So in terms of, I mean, we deal with a variety of different organisations, and the majority of companies have embraced what we've said. What, in terms of the forward-thinking organisations out there, what do you think some of the better decisions and the good decisions people have made have been to help them prosper and survive?
So I guess early on, you saw, you saw a lot of businesses not know what to do, really. They didn't know what to do with their staff. A lot of the staff went on to furlough. What were the staff doing during that time? Some of the more forward-thinking ones were actually thinking about what happens when we do come out of this, and sort of helping their staff with then sort of structured training programs to upskill them. To make sure when we do come through the other side, that they're then best placed as an organisation to make the to then make the most of the situation. And I guess it was really telling then, those organisations which had already thought about their IT systems and already sort of got good, strong business continuity plans in place, who were already set up for remote working in one form or another. And it was large businesses and it was small businesses. You know, sort of there was a real mix. That the one of the banks was sort of one of the most frustrating ones for me. I remember Philippa trying to get through to the bank. Trying to get through to the call centre, and all the message said was that then, was it due to lockdown, we've got a reduced number of staff, and we can't take your call. And it's like, you're a call centre, you are set up so easily for your staff to be able to work from home. There's no one thought about this.
Mm. Something interesting I've seen a lot of the companies that are doing well as well at the moment. There is a huge amount of goodwill and support and training that has been thrown out by many organisations. A lot of our suppliers have come to us and offered free advice, free training, free webinars and seminars and that sort of stuff. And I think a lot of the companies out there have used the last 12 months as well to help their staff upskill and develop as well. I think we've definitely seen it internally with our staff.
Yeah. I've done additional training myself as well. It is, even though we were full on, I still kind of recognise that then moving forward, we need to be in a different place with this.
I think it's good. What about companies where, you know, there are companies who've obviously done well out of this? I think you'd agree that as a business we've moved forward and we're a better company because of lockdown. I don't think we're afraid to admit to that. What about some of the companies who've stuck their heads in the sand? What do you think about some of those guys? What sort of mistakes have they been making?
Yeah, I guess I always feel a little bit guilty, the fact that we have done well over the last 12 months, and my camera's just dropped off, isn't it? There we go. We wondered when something would go wrong. If you just give us a second, see if
we need some IT support. We need some IT support, Chris. Who can we call?
How's that? Yeah, we're back.
He's back.
Okay. There is the first lesson.
That just proves it's live TV, doesn't it? You know, it's like Blue Peter. We'll have an elephant coming across screen next.
It's then a note for future. My camera turns itself off after about 30 minutes, so we need to address that one. So what was I saying?
Head in the sand businesses. Some of the common mistakes that people have made.
Yes, so I always feel a little bit guilty than myself, because we have done well over the last sort of 12 months. And we are in a better place as a business for that. And I know lots of other businesses aren't and have suffered, but we have tried hard, and we've been fortunate that we're in an industry that has then really been needed over the last 12 months. But I've also seen businesses who then could have continued to operate, and they've just stopped. And it's been interesting comparing businesses with other businesses within the same industry and sort of how they have changed and adapted. That if you're ever part of our daily streams, you know that you'll know that food is a fairly common topic that we then talk about. What's been nice to see over the last 12 months is the number of food manufacturers which have kind of shifted their focus a bit, and they're doing home delivery of then their food. So not too long back, there was then a pie bakery, and Dave, one of our guys, ordered some pies from one place. I ordered some pies from that. I ordered some pies from then another place, and it's like prior to lockdown, you could only buy their pies if you went to the shops where they sold them. It was a relatively small number of farm shops, and what they've done over that time is they've then looked at what people want, and they've then shifted their business to start to sell pies online, and you get pies through the post. And I've now got a freezer. We've got about 8 pies left in the freezer.
If you need any help with
it, there's other food manufacturers which have just put their hands up and said, "It isn't our fault. We can't do anything about this."
What I found fascinating about the whole thing, I mean, it's the businesses that are agile that have been able to adapt that prospered without a shadow of a doubt. One of the interesting things I found, like I say, I'm relatively still new to technology, 4 years in, but still relatively new. You've been in it for donkey's years now. Is a lot of the solutions that are out there are put in place to prepare businesses for eventualities. You know, whether it be disaster recovery, whether it be backups, whether it be cybersecurity. Last March, when we upped sticks and came home, our systems worked. The systems that we put in place worked. It was as simple. They just worked. You know, thanks to Teams and Microsoft and the good machines that we use. And it was just fascinating to see actually practicing what we preach, if this is making any sense or not. It gave me great encouragement in what we're trying to do as a business, because it worked for us, and it helped me communicate that to our customers and future customers, that these are our experiences, and it just worked. And I think certainly for businesses out there where it has worked, their new plan, their new processes, if case studies and examples are going to be the way forward for a lot of businesses. How did we prosper in this environment? And certainly we can do that. And the pie example is a great example. And there's many others, aren't there? Definitely, Chris.
Yeah, I know I said I would sort of try not to talk about food today, but you did ask the questions. It's what as an IT people, and then as techies, we're often not that great at sort of selling things. What's been nice over the last 12 months is then sort of what we've been trying to tell people about. Suddenly, a lot of us we're actually forced to use those tools, and we've been able to demonstrate what we've been saying for the last few years about sort of how good these tools are and just what they can do for your business. And you're right, it has been a great case study for us. It's if you think back to how we were using Teams 12 months ago, we really weren't making the most of it then, and we were thrown into it, and we then took it to a whole new level, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed a bit of a toy, didn't it? To be honest with you, it was there. It was, it was part of the M365 solution that we had and were providing, but we didn't really communicate it outside our own walls about how good it was. But
Yeah.
sometimes you have to use something to appreciate just how good it is. And we
Um,
used it, and it was great.
and it is now a fundamental tool for running our business all day, every day. It is. If you think about how we would operate our then business without it now, it'd be really difficult, and it would severely hamper the relationship with our staff and the way that we deal with our customers.
Well, I mean, one of the projects we set ourselves months ago was to go paper free, wasn't it? I can't even think how we do that without Teams. It just doesn't compute.
Yeah, it just pulls everything together for us, doesn't it?
I mean, we've talked about Teams then and Microsoft solutions. In terms of the big developments in technology that have helped businesses adapt to the last 12 months, what would you identify as the really key areas of development?
Yeah, it is really Teams and the other collaboration tools. So we're a Microsoft house ourselves. We've always used the Microsoft products. I know that then Google have got something similar. Zoom has also put in a lot of development work into their video conferencing and sort of webinar system after getting fairly well slated early on for some of the security things. But you look at that pace of change, and you look at how much development has gone into things like Teams, and sort of how much it has then changed over the last 12 months, and that's been one of the really big wins. I think we've got it's. If you listen to a lot of our industry talk, they're all saying we're now kind of 3 to 5 years ahead of where we would have been with some of this technology because of the sheer amount of effort and pace of change which then has gone into these tools.
Yeah, there's that phrase we use a lot, isn't there? We use it in a lot of our proposals as well. Any person, any device, anytime, anywhere, and that's what these tools have helped us and businesses really adapt to, isn't it?
Yeah. And it is now time to look at the security side of that.
Yeah, we talked about security. That's a big old topic. I think we'll probably put that as our next chat, and maybe bring in a couple of guests on that one as well. We've talked about converged communications, the cloud. We could talk about that to the nth degree. Let me throw one question at you, which I know you were a little worried about, Chris. As an IT provider,
another point. First of all, sorry.
Yeah, no, crack on.
You just mentioned communication there. That's also something people have started to think about differently now, and we have seen a big shift towards more of the hosted phone system type things. Whether it's actually using Teams for your phones, whether it's using a hosted phone system, and that move away from your from any traditional in-house phone system, the ability just to be able to pick up a phone and plug it in anywhere, or actually pick up your laptop and log in, and you've then got your calls ringing on your laptop, and you can make calls out. That is something that people have woken up to a lot as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, in my time at Broken Stones, we've done elements of telephony. We've provided some solutions to clients. It always seemed, again, a bit of a dark art, and then suddenly the solutions we're talking about now are incredibly simple. And again, it's that phrase, they just work. We brought my work phone home, however many months ago it was, we plugged it into the wall, and it immediately started ringing, and it rang out with the right number, and it was like magic to me. I didn't get it, but it just works, and it's nice to be able to say that. It is nice to be able to say that. So here's a question for you then, Chris, because we're sort of coming towards the end of our session now. But as an IT provider, what do you want to see as the next big development that will help businesses prosper?
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm slightly biased because it's one of my passions, but the thing that really needs to change, especially in small businesses, is on the cybersecurity side. I wrote an article at the start of last year to say that very soon there will then be a big cybersecurity event which will make us all wake up and take notice. I think the last 12 months people have started to take a bit more notice of that, but But then certainly it is then my experience working with lots of the small businesses. Cybersecurity needs a really big push. It was interesting seeing the recent Microsoft Exchange vulnerabilities and about just how persistent some of the attacks were on that. And then the stats coming out of the US government and coming out of the UK government on that front. But something needs a big change within the cybersecurity world. Businesses need to wake up and take this stuff really seriously.
And it's persistent, isn't it? I mean, I remember sharing a text which I got over the weekend with you, didn't I? I think it was I think somebody pretended to be the Royal Mail, wasn't it? You know, saying you owe an extra £2.45 for a package that's coming away. Click on here to pay it. And I thought, Christ, I've never seen that one before.
Yes, and you have just reminded me. I need to post that onto then social media later, because then Philippa got the exact same one this morning, and then she asked me a puzzled question. We're not waiting for anything from them Royal Mail, are we?
It's a sneaky one, isn't it? It's a sneaky one because people are getting packages every day at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
There are so many packages coming through. And we alluded to it earlier on in the conversation, didn't we? We see the security piece as the foundation for all the relationships we have now with our clients, because it does allow us to get under the hood and look how people operate and talk about goals and business outcomes and business continuity and process. You know, IT isn't all about just ordering a new laptop. It's a fundamental part of any business's operations now, and security has to be the key to that. Yeah,
and without kind of going into the security piece, it is also there is no one fix for all on the cybersecurity front. It's about balancing the risk there is to your business versus what risk you are then willing to take versus what the cost of mitigating that risk is.
Cool. So we've covered a lot today. I think we're probably coming towards a natural pause or end to the conversation. How's that gone for you, Chris? How was it for you?
Well, we've only had the one hiccup, so that was good. It's been a nice first kind of a live stream, I think, isn't it?
I've enjoyed it. You know, it's a topic we talk about a lot, so we're used to talking about it, to be fair. But it's good to get out there. It's good to get an audience out there. But we've got a lot to share with people across the various different media that are available. And it's not all about IT. It's about business process. It's about goals. It's about business outcomes. It's about mindfulness. It's about the whole piece, really. We're in a good position to help and impart some knowledge, and if people can tune in, that'd be brilliant, and share some stories with us, ask some questions live. We're looking forward to doing the next one.
Yeah, it's just nice to share this stuff. So it's thank you for everyone watching, and we should be back again soon, and we may well actually advertise it this time as well, so in advance, as opposed to popping up randomly. But we didn't want to big ourselves up too much to start with, did we?
No, I'm certainly not an attention seeker, me. Anyway, thanks for joining. Nice to see everybody. We will probably be here same time next week, I imagine, or similar. But like I say, we'll put the word out there, and hopefully a few more of you can join us. Take care, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Where's my end button?
Oh, seamless, Chris.